fan. I think I actually was born into this world grabbing a hockey stick and getting ready to fight.
Awesome. I love it.
I think at one point when I was brought out of the womb, I actually took the doctor's outfit or whatever it was, pulled it over his head, and started getting into a fight with him. When I was brought out of the womb.
That's funny.
Yeah, the Hawks are a massive underdog against the Knights. They're a massive underdog even to make the playoffs.
Right. What even? No, dude, I'm guilty of this. What even is happening like with hockey? I tuned into a baseball game the other day, but I don't know, dude. The no fans thing, it doesn't feel as good watching on TV to me either. So what's happening in hockey right now?
So the no fans thing I get. I think it's stupid, but I get that. The thing that drives me nuts that I think is terrible, and by the way, the NBA, if you're listening to it, stop it. It's just weird. The whole fake noise fan.
Yes.
Oh, he just dunked. Let's just have an imitation crowd noise. We all know it's imitation crowd noise.
Right.
We know it's nobody really actually cheering.
Right.
Don't pump in the music anymore. Don't pump in the fake noise.
Right.
That to me is just weird. They're doing it in baseball too, which is even weirder. Because when I see somebody rounding the base after hitting the home run, and I see Weekend at Bernie's cut out cardboards behind the plate, we know that's all fake. Stop with the fake.
Right. No, fully agreed with that. And I agree. That would make it then a little bit easier to, I don't know. Yeah. Just accept that. Yeah. Like things are definitely really weird this year. And so fake noise is not good.
Yeah. Don't bring fans to a stadium that everyone has a 99.9% chance of never dying from.
Right.
So it's like, wait a second, let's not have games anymore because of lightning. Lightning could strike.
Right.
Anyways, I don't want to go down that path. I am Chris, and you are Brian Harrington.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
everyone who you are. Tell them what you're all about. Let's talk some Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, let's do it. So my name is Brian Harrington. I live in Orange County, California. I guess the easiest thing I just say when I'm meeting people for the first time is I just say I'm a marketing consultant from Orange County, California. When we get deeper into it and they let me talk about Bitcoin, then I just pivot every conversation to Bitcoin because I believe Bitcoin is just like the most kind of just giant paradigm shift in the entire world that's happening right now. And so like I've worked in the film industry, I've worked in like politics industry, I've been a Christian like my entire life since I was 6. So like I've worked.
Shout out to God.
Yeah. No, like a deep relationship with God. Like, but I've been inside like church world of like putting on services and setting up chairs. And, like I have pastor friends and doing that whole thing. So like I worked for a bank right out of college, a credit union right out of college. So like I've seen the finance world, I've seen like the church world, I've seen politics world, and I've seen like Hollywood all lightly. Like I'm not an expert in any of those areas, but I've had a small touch and taste like of each of those things. And so just like Bitcoin now, as I just like think about it all the time, it goes so past just being an investment for me that I have a real passion for just explaining to people that like Bitcoin is not a stock. Like if you tune out right now and like you never like listen to me again, like Bitcoin is not a stock. That's like period. Like I just try to like get that out there for people because too many people.
Shout out to Dave Portnoy, who's right now looking to buy Bitcoin, all of it.
Right. Buy all the Bitcoins. Because Dave, and so Dave from Barstool is a perfect example of someone who we're going to watch, kind of go through this whole thing live and kind of figure out, Dave is already really woke on understanding that the dollar makes everything go up. If Dave Portnoy can figure it out that all stocks go up because of the way the Federal Reserve just creates money, and Jerome Powell has gone on 60 Minutes and said that they have infinite ability to create money, you don't have to be an economist. You don't have to be an expert. That's another thing I think that like we mess up too. And it sounds like what your channel cuts through for people is like you can look at the world and make your decisions. And so this kind of like bowing down to experts and like letting other people kind of make the decisions and tell us what to think is just kind of, square one really for anybody who's watching this on YouTube. They've kind of already like broken that paradigm. But that doesn't make any sense. Like if the Federal Reserve, if the leaders of our country can just print infinite amounts of these units, think about how hard you work to make $500. And then think about how easy it is for them to just add a bunch of zeros on these things and kind of just like pass it out. That doesn't work for me anymore.
Actually, They're not adding zeros. They're adding decimal points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that.
Right. Right.
See, you just earned $500, but if they start printing money, all they're doing is pushing the decimal point closer to the 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
That 500 now became 50 or 5 or a fraction.
Right.
And if you think about that as human beings that are part of America, that's kind of insane.
Yeah. No,
you know, now if people want to see what that looks like in real life, look at Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Venezuela? What's the one at the bottom? The guy that Maduro runs. That's Venezuela, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. They literally had a rich country that was rich in oil, like rich in oil, rich in gold.
Right.
By the way, what that guy is doing to that country is unbelievable. Shipping the gold out of the country to Russia and Cuba so he can exit the country one day soon. That guy, that is just, on so many levels, it is the destruction of an entire race. Not a race, but a country and a community of people that are just being ravaged for their wealth.
Totally.
By the way, hot prediction. I literally said it earlier today. I'm going to share it with you now. 100% it's going to happen. California and other states are going to issue their own monetary digital cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to print their own currency.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who they're going to pay with it? All their vendors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. I believe that the world is moving towards, a multi-currency world. In that, like, so nothing really surprises me anymore. Nothing surprises me. And that's the world. Like 2020 is so crazy. And these kind of like predictions are just happening so often and so fast that I don't think, this is going to sound weird, but it's almost like the details don't matter. Like if you just get a few big picture things right and just understand a few big picture things that are happening, you can make the right decisions. And so whether California does that or doesn't do that, or whether, the Federal Reserve does something or doesn't do something, like when you truly dig in and understand that Bitcoin is different from every single other cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is different from every other government printed currency, and you realize that like the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And you realize that like we all can identify the issues that are frustrating us in this country. Voting feels like we're just trying the same thing over and over, and over again. And I'm not going to die on the hill of whether, voting is good or voting is bad. Everything just is what it is. Like, honestly, everything just is what it is. And so, but that's what I'm trying to break people out and tell you, like the biggest brand new thing in the world is Bitcoin, like true digital scarcity.
So I don't want to get away from what you just tapped on. So voting, think about this for a second. We've sent spaceships out in outer space. We've sent men to the moon. We've built electric cars when there were no electric cars. We've made amazing progress as a planet, as a country. And we're still going into this little flimsy square box container and with a pencil punching paper ballots inside of some sort of machine. And then we don't know if our ballot actually gets counted or if it's being duplicated or if there's fraud or if there's anything else. This is our voting technology. Right. This is where we're at as a country. We can't make that. We can't make it so that there's one vote per citizen. We can't figure that out. Are you kidding me?
Right. And that, dude, and I think we all know this. We all know this, but we don't have a solution. Like, and I'm here today.
We do have a solution.
What do you think it is?
The key is, do we want to find a solution?
Sure. Yeah. Right.
I mean, how hard is it? We put a man on the moon. We built an electric car. How hard is it to say, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. Every U.S. citizen with a social security number, that's your new blockchain wallet address for this cryptocurrency-based voting system where everybody's vote counts and it's one vote, one citizen, because your social security is your wallet address. Oh my God, what a great idea. We literally just figured it out.
Yeah.
You literally can take, because as a human being, you only have a social security number. It's not like there's 2 duplicate social security numbers, right?
Well, we hope, we think.
Oh, I mean, if there is, please, whoever's got mine, pay my taxes.
Right,
I mean,
right.
At the end of the day, that solution exists. You could literally create a blockchain, a voting blockchain, link everyone's social security number, make that a wallet address, and give them a voting token for the presidential election or for local elections or whatever. And now you've got a transparent number of votes that are on the blockchain. No vote will ever get lost. And we elect officials probably more efficiently than we have today.
Yeah. So I'm behind the mission of that, but I have to push back on that a little bit. And I looked at a little bit of the other videos. So I believe this. I don't believe that, I don't believe that a blockchain is possible or necessary for that type of voting that you just talked about. And so the reason why I'm passionate about just Bitcoin and not any other cryptocurrencies is for that reason. Because the same blockchain is kind of it almost just feels like a corporate whitewashing of what Bitcoin was. Bitcoin is the true innovation. And all these other things that were called blockchain and they're using the word blockchain are kind of copycats of that, but they're not making meaningful improvements on the legacy system. And so any of these other ones that have tokens associated with them, these tokens suffer from the same centralization and same central printing of the legacy system. Okay,
so that being true, yes, but let's understand the real value that Bitcoin brought to the world was a transparent, enumerable blockchain. It was literally transparent to everyone that a transaction was real because it was on the blockchain. And it was that Bitcoin just became the, for lack of a better word, the token that rode the rails of the blockchain, but together they cannot exist without each other.
Correct.
Bitcoin doesn't exist without its blockchain.
No, correct. Totally. And the hard cap. So the transparency and the hard cap supply that no one can change that. That's what gives it value.
And you can't double spend. I mean, thank God, because we found that early on. That was an interesting one. Remember, I don't know, maybe too many people remember this, but there was a point where some guy figured out how to issue 88 billion Bitcoin at one time. Do you remember that? It was early in the days. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Bitcoin's actually gone through a lot of growth and change, and shout out to all the guys and girls that worked on the core code. I mean, that's just pretty impressive code if you think about it.
Totally. So the way that I approach Bitcoin and the way that it can impact politics is actually not with blockchain voting, but I believe it's more with by giving people the ability to vote with their dollars, being able to exit in place. Because the revolution of Bitcoin is 2 entrepreneurs being able to do business with each other and send value back and forth with no third parties in the middle. The whole point of the blockchain is so that I can send money from A to B with no third parties in the middle. And then the miners validate the transaction through proof of work and through the electricity and all of that work, right? So no third parties includes the government. It includes central fee takers like Visa and MasterCard, and it includes the government that takes sales tax and takes, removes value from the transaction. And so that's where the politics comes in for me. And that's where I would encourage people to understand that Bitcoin is not just an investment to make more dollars. Bitcoin is the currency. Bitcoin is the revolution. And so when you're stacking Bitcoin and when you're working for Bitcoin and when you're inside a Bitcoin circular economy, you are having an impact on the world by your labor is no longer upholding all the things that are frustrating to us of the legacy world. Because when that's honestly what I have a passion for sharing to people on the right and the left. When you have people that are out in the streets protesting, XYZ thing that the government is doing, but then when they leave the protest and go to lunch afterwards and are swiping their, Visa card, you realize you're paying the people that you're protesting against. We're all complicit. When you swipe your card, you're paying.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what people are protesting anymore. I mean, they're taking down Christopher Columbus statues.
Right.
When the fuck did Christopher Columbus become a racist? I mean, if everyone knows the story of Christopher Columbus, he got kicked out of Spain. I think he was banging the queen or something. And they put him on a boat with a bunch of crazy people and lepers. They never had any intention of him making it across the ocean. They figured he was just going to his death. he somehow lands on America,
Right.
and like we erect statues all over the place, and in 2020 he gets torn down because he's a racist. How the fuck did that happen?
Right.
Dude, like, hey people, we wouldn't be here without that lunatic.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know either. Like, I don't know all the intricate things that are happening across like the entire country, and it's impossible to know all of them. But what I do know is that I'm kind of getting to the point where I, in a weird way, like I stand with all of them, like BLM, Antifa, Tea Party. Like, I don't care. Like, if you're in the street frustrated with the way that the ruling class is like treating us, I'm with you.
Okay.
And so what I want to say,
I got to stop you there. I believe in letting people have their voice and the protest and giving them a place to account. But when you're organizing groups of people to go in and break windows and rob stores, my friend in Chicago has a restaurant that he worked his whole life to put together. He's been vandalized 4 times in 4 months, had his shop ruined. He doesn't even get insurance money anymore. Totally. I mean, it's like crazy. Totally. And it's such a burden for him. And on top of it, he's struggling to stay alive because these idiot lockdowns won't allow him to have a full restaurant. So when people are going out there protesting, great, God bless them. When they're going out there at 10 o'clock or midnight and going into neighborhoods and destroying property and destroying restaurants and destroying over 2,500 businesses were destroyed in Chicago this year.
So, dude, okay, so watch this. Like, I agree. It's very frustrating. And so watch this. Like, Bitcoin fixes this. Like, that's the thing, like, where you'll see on Twitter, like, Bitcoin fixes this. Like, Bitcoin fixes the reason why the people are in the streets frustrated at society, and it fixes the frustration that the entrepreneurs are having.
People are getting paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, and some of the people that are frustrated, some of the people that are the businesses, it fixes this then too, because like how much money has that business paid in taxes like over the year? So much, and the city can't even keep them safe. And so they need to keep more of what they're taking home. And then these people that are mad and frustrated at the street and being manipulated, by whether purposely manipulated or good spirits or whatever, like there's something in their life that's making them believe that the country isn't fair. Like, and whether that's manipulated or not, like that is happening. And so which I can't fundamentally disagree with that. Like the ruling class, I don't appreciate the way the ruling class is like treating people in this country. And it takes lots of different forms. And the United States is still like a great country. Like, I'm in no way am I anti the United States. Like, I'm super thankful for like the life I have and the house I have and like the life I have here, like very thankful. And that's the reason why I'm passionate about Bitcoin, because I don't believe that politicians can fix the issue. I believe politicians and the idiot lockdowns are hurting the issue. That's what sucks.
I think one of the things, Bitcoin's going to change money, but here's what it's really going to change. It's going to change politics. When you take the money away from politicians, when you take the control of money away from politicians, and that's going to happen in my lifetime. In my lifetime, Bitcoin is going to take the power of money away from politicians. So think about this for a second. Right now, Bitcoin is a parallel economic choice for people to use as a form of money or assets.
Yes.
But it's something that less than 1% of Americans use. Mm-hmm. When Bitcoin becomes a competitor to the US dollar, which everyone says it is today, but that's not really true. But when it does compete with the dollar, and you take away the dollar's ability, the politician's ability to just print money. Like I saw the other day, I'm not kidding you, crazy. Like a perfect example of how crazy 2020 is. We had a politician who, by the way, is well past her expiration date, Nancy Pelosi. And she literally said these words. And it's so crazy just to repeat these words. If they come up $1 trillion and we come down $1 trillion and we can work it out. Are you crazy? Like she's literally talking, if we come up, you don't have trillions. If the government had to run its life, its finances, like individuals have to run their finances, like businesses have to run their finances, it could never run its business. But totally. See, the weird thing is the US government and other governments, I'm sure, they have this uncanny ability to go, oh, we don't have any money. Let's print some more. Let's add some more digital cash to our piggy bank.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I think you exactly nailed it. And that's where that is the power of Bitcoin, being able to exit from that system. like your day-to-day life no longer relies on like central people like Nancy Pelosi and other politicians choosing how much money, the government, prints. And here's some tip, and I agree, less than 1% or whatever the number is of people that currently use Bitcoin. Some tips that like I've been experiencing in my day-to-day life on how to kind of work Bitcoin into your day-to-day life. This is what I'm passionate about sharing too, because a lot of times people get confused and just start talking about just blockchain and different cryptocurrencies and kind of down the list and ICOs and kind of all this stuff. I just try to bring it back to like, look, there's enough cryptocurrencies. There's enough cryptocurrencies. Let's leverage like the ones we have and work them into our day-to-day lives and start reining in the government and start bringing power like back to the people. That's the movement. So let's stop print, because we got a little bit wayward in 2017 and people were just printing cryptocurrencies the same way that the government was printing regular currencies, and we weren't making meaningful ground. But now what's cool is that everyone's refocused and we're in 2020. And so I'm really championing, like, you need to join a meetup. Like, we need Bitcoin meetups and we need communities, just like your community, like here on YouTube, and with like your people that like you're coaching and you're with, is everyone them together, like those people together, we can create a Bitcoin circular economy, like among ourselves. All the entrepreneurs and free thinkers can exit in place and we can switch over to Bitcoin, and it can happen slowly. I released a video today where I was walking people through just some apps that they can download and honestly use about how to.
One of them, Strike.
Yeah, exactly. Strike app, the Strike app. It's a game
Shout
changer.
out to Jack Mallers, for
Yes.
fellow Chicagoan. Jack, I think, has built the best mainstream mobile app for Bitcoin ever.
So here's why it's important.
Have you used it? Have you had a chance to use it?
Yeah. So
very slick, very user friendly.
And people, here's why that's important, because look, so like I talked about at the beginning of the show, I'm a marketing consultant. Like, I'm a marketing consultant and I'm passionate about Bitcoin. I don't want to use the United States dollar. The United States dollar comes with a lot of corruption, and I don't want to prop up the establishment anymore. Like, I don't appreciate the way that they're treating people in the United States. And so now when my clients pay me and we settle up at the end of the month, instead of them sending me a check, I said, please stop sending me checks. Like, please download the Strike app. And it's because the problem is people can't pay you in Bitcoin yet because they don't have any Bitcoin, because they're a normie and they don't watch all this stuff. And so they don't have it, right? The Strike app solves that. So the normie entrepreneur puts their business debit card into the Strike app. They pay with dollars. And so on their balance sheet, they can do whatever they need to do for their CPA and write off the taxable expenses and write off whatever. And then when they scan the QR code on my website, I receive Bitcoin. So in that way, we're funneling fiat currency into the Bitcoin network and growing the Bitcoin network. And then what I do is I have our local meetup here in Orange County, and we have Bitcoin businesses. We have a Bitcoin chef.
Hey, by the way, are you familiar with a restaurant in your neck of the woods called Slapfish Grill?
I've heard of that. I don't think I've been there yet.
Okay, Slapfish Grill. I need you to go there and eat some food.
Yes.
The owner is a guy named Andrew. He is the greatest chef, open-minded individual on the planet, and you need to show him the Strike app.
Yeah.
Your food will be amazing, ridiculously good. B, I think you've hit it right on the head. And then more importantly, I think Jack has. Strike now makes it very easy for people to say, hey, I owe you $7,000, whatever. They can literally take the Strike app, download it, link it to their bank account or their debit card or their business debit card, and they can pay you in Bitcoin. And you can use that Bitcoin to either hold as an asset, spend as you need it, or whatever.
Yep. No, exactly. Because that was what was tripping people up a lot, was because so Bitcoin is going to go up in value, because we already talked about there's a finite amount of Bitcoin and there's infinite dollars. So that's period on that. And people want to hold it because people have wanted to hold gold for thousands of years, and just like finite assets do well in quantitative easing. And that's covered on a lot of like a ton of other videos, and people do it better than I do, but that's why fundamentally. And then, but the main problem is because it's going up in value, people that are already into Bitcoin, they get a little bit funny about spending their Bitcoin, because you want to spend your fiat money that's going to, lose value, which totally makes sense, completely makes sense. And that's why the Bitcoin circular economy, a big thing that's going to start for that is when entrepreneurs start demanding Bitcoin for their time. They're saying, look, I understand you don't want to spend Bitcoin, so that's fine. Use the Strike app, and buy it as you're paying me, which is fine if you don't want to spend the stuff you already have. But it's demanding Bitcoin for your time. So if you're a business, and exactly what you just said, like that's exactly how meetups work, and that's exactly how these kind of like entrepreneurs, like we can really flex our strength in the United States, because we're the builders and the people that like make things happen. Then so as soon as entrepreneurs and free thinkers decide to exit the dollar and leave and move on to Bitcoin, like I have a lot of optimism like for the country, because of that.
So you talk about exiting the dollar. Today, we saw an announcement of one of the biggest exits of the US dollar into Bitcoin by a publicly traded billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about MicroStrategy.
Yeah, so MicroStrategy, I think they trade on the NASDAQ. I don't exactly know, but the CEO in a press release, they announced that their business treasury, like their unit of account in the business is now Bitcoin, like in the back end of their accounting. And so they bought, it was 22,000 and change Bitcoin. It was like $250 million. And that's cool. And that's an example of an entrepreneur.
About that. They're only a little over $1 billion market cap company.
Right.
It was a significant amount of their cash holdings.
Yeah. And dude, and here's what people don't, so Bitcoin is a deflationary currency. So the amount of new Bitcoin created like every 4 years gets cut in half. And so right now there's 900 new Bitcoin created every day. They bought 22,000. So do that math, 22,000 divided by 900, 20
like
days.
30 days worth.
Yeah. So he bought like 22, 23 days worth of new supply of Bitcoin in one transaction. And so think about that from your perspective, so if you're just a person out there, getting a little bit of Bitcoin is positive. Like it's the biggest asymmetric bet that you can make in the entire world right now.
Yeah, I think what MicroStrategy did today was probably one of the greatest endorsements of Bitcoin. You can have companies and individuals and financial people talk about how great Bitcoin is, but when you take a significant amount of your balance sheet and you have shareholders to adhere to and a board of directors,
right?
And believe me, before that happened, I'm sure he got all of the approvals he needed. But when you actually put your money where your mouth is and you're a publicly traded company, that's amazing. And It's not only amazing, and he may or may not be the first company that did that. I think he is, but I could be wrong. If there's 10 more behind him that do it, 20 more behind them, 30 more behind them,
right?
The roadmap for Bitcoin going into 2021 is off the hook.
Absolutely. And it just continues to give Bitcoiners leverage as it just keeps getting into more and more companies that have, lobbying dollars and influence in the country. It's a mainstay. Like it's here to stay. That's the other thing I think puts a lot of people at ease, that if you haven't, taken the leap on it yet, it's been around for 11 years now. So it's been around for 11 years. It's been banged on. Exactly what you said. Like there's, they've worked out all the kinks. Like it's there. It's still clunky, but the kinks are getting worked out. And it's been around for 11 years.
I don't see any clunkiness anymore. Like other than the transaction times, and that's just a byproduct of the world we live in.
Yeah.
And I think Lightning solves a lot of that. I think a lot of the clunkiness has been removed from Bitcoin. It's a well-developed platform.
Yeah, I love it. And your optimism will like rub off on others. And that's exactly.
Well, I think some of my greatest optimism in the last 4 months is some of the work that Jack Mathers did with Strike.
Yeah.
That is a game changer. It changes all the rules. Somebody says, hey, I can't pay you in Bitcoin. Download Strike. You can link it to your debit card or your bank account. You'll be able to pay me in Bitcoin. It won't even affect your life one bit.
Totally. I think a lot of people's first Bitcoin they ever get will be Bitcoin that they earned, which is exciting for me too. And another interesting thing on kind of that Strike and like paying over QR codes kind of thing is PayPal and Venmo announced that they're doing like a pay QR code deal with like CVS. And so CVS, you're going to be able to just pay with your PayPal app or pay with your Venmo app anyway. And so the fact that people are already going to get in the paradigm, are already kind of in the paradigm of paying QR codes anyways, once you just change the bottom layer of that, I mean, some people, they're going to just switch from paying dollar QR codes to, Lightning Bitcoin QR codes, and they might not even ever realize that the bottom changed. That's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, QR codes are going to become a bigger part of the payment platform. And they provide security, which is super important.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the projects that you find interesting as the road ahead goes for Bitcoin or in anything in life.
Yeah. So I think, with the Strike app, I think the other apps that I use to kind of finish out this circular economy kind of stack that I use right now are BTC Pay Server, which that's kind of the entrepreneur side. So if Strike is kind of the client side where you need the clients to download Strike, BTC Pay Server is the kind of the buttons that you put on your website to kind of make those QR codes happen. And then two other apps are the Fold app and Bit Refill app. Like those help people live off Bitcoin kind of in this transitionary time too. So as we get more
Fold
restaurants,
is, you get like gift cards, right?
Yep, exactly. And they have, so that's another really easy way for people to earn Bitcoin every day too, is like they have just a fun wheel that you spin inside the app, and it literally gives you just 100 sats a day, 50 sats, like that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
So for everyone that doesn't know, what's a sat? So a sat is the base unit of Bitcoin. So that's, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin, and you don't have to earn a whole Bitcoin. So when you hear that there's only 21 million Bitcoin, each Bitcoin is broken down into 8 decimal places. And so that 8th decimal place is called a sat. So yeah, just focus on stacking sats, you know, stop stacking dollars and start stacking sats. Shout out to Lolly.
Yep. And yeah, like it's fun. Fold really works for people that just aren't technical and just need like an easy app to down. Like I even have my mother-in-law she just plays the wheel every day. And so I'm like, I love it. Like I just try to get everybody in my family to just download Fold and play the wheel.
Shout out to Ruben Christopher Haynes. What's up? So Ruben's all talking about smart contracts. Talk a little bit about smart contracts.
Nice. Well, let me top over the chat too. Smart contracts. So I guess, so about kind of on that blockchain voting thing and smart contracts, I don't hate the word blockchain. I don't hate the word smart contracts. I don't hate kind of some more different things that people think about besides Bitcoin. What I don't like is random projects making random tokens and confusing people. I guess that's like where it's at. And so to be honest, I haven't gone super deep down the like smart contract lane. But if you're coding smart contracts that do things for people and eliminate intermediaries and use Bitcoin as the currency, that's great. Like that's awesome. I think that's what we need to be doing.
Think about this for a second. You just mentioned the Fold app.
Mm-hmm.
And the Fold app takes, I think, Bitcoin and allows you to buy gift cards for Starbucks or Amazon or whatever. But think about this for a second. What is an Amazon gift card? Isn't that a token?
Yeah.
You really break it down?
Right.
Why haven't gift cards become tokens?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that is the absolute next big evolutionary chain in cryptocurrencies. I think every business will issue its own digital token.
So I agree that it's very similar to tokens, and I don't think that tokens need blockchains, because blockchains. Wait
a second. You don't think tokens need a blockchain? Mm-mm. So take the blockchain away. How do you manage your tokens?
With a normal database, because you don't a blockchain.
So now you're centralizing things.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think so. In Amazon points don't have to be decentralized. Only Bitcoin, the reason why Bitcoin is the best collateral in the world is because it's decentralized. Bitcoin is going to eat the lunch of every single other, quote unquote token or point or whatever that needs to be decentralized. I can give you an example too. Okay. So let me
just add one thing.
Go ahead.
If you centralize tokens like Amazon or Air Miles, can't they all of a sudden decide to take your miles away, take your tokens away,
totally
expire them, and so on and so forth? So decentralizing gift cards and Amazon credits and Air Miles, I think that's the natural evolution, because just like Bitcoin, it gives people something that they can trust in. Because when somebody can't take something away from you, I got to share a story with you.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I got super involved and excited with Bitcoin is in about 2014. I read a story in the poker industry of two guys that I think went and played in a poker tournament either in Minnesota or in Chicago, and were driving through Iowa. And they had cash on them. So they were pulled over. Some Iowa cop wanted to give them a ticket. They did a search and seizure and took all their cash, $60,000. Took them $30,000 in legal fees, and maybe 6 to 12 months later for them to get their cash back.
Yeah.
But I realized at that point in life, Bitcoin solves that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the confiscation, the illegal confiscation of taking people's money is the most horrific thing in America I've seen in the last 10 years. The unconstitutional seizure of somebody's cash. That is the reason why Bitcoin, I think, was actually created. I think Satoshi Nakamoto, only because Bitcoin's origin has some real connections to Wall Street and the financial collapse of 2008. I think some really smart guy, not from Japan, got pissed off and said, fuck these bankers, fuck the Fed, I'm going to create Bitcoin. E-gold almost had it, but then they were centralized. Let me rewrite this code and create it decentralized. I think where we're at right now is Bitcoin takes the power away from people to seize your hard-earned assets.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. You're exactly right. I can't say anything better than that. And that is exactly the use case of Bitcoin. And that's what leads me to believe that because of the way that Bitcoin was launched and because of the way that Satoshi was anonymous and because of the way that in the early days, it was the first one to do it and it has the biggest network effect and it was the most fair launch and there wasn't a pre-mine and there's no founder's reward. And
by the way, everyone says there wasn't a pre-mine, but in reality, there was. He just didn't use the pre-mine. It's still sitting there.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question. Is Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, alive or dead today?
I don't think we're ever going to hear from him. So I guess dead. I lean dead.
I think somewhere along the ways he died. Just like a normal human being, he just died.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is too, I think he was wise and smart to keep his identity secure because I think he saw that if you ever compete with the U.S. government, they will come after you. They will try and make your life a miserable place. And it was actually probably a very, I don't want to say old, but at his time, he understood what the world was. He wasn't young and naive.
Totally. Dude, I believe he was inspired by God. I have a lot of conviction that this is
here's a better question. Do you think he was an alien?
I honestly think so this is getting cosmic. So I believe that question is closer on the paradigm, a better question than is he alive or dead? I'll say it like that. Because the reason why I say that is because Bitcoin is a really big deal. It's a really big deal.
Okay, so the greatest things that they say the stealth bomber was designed off alien architecture. And now in 2020, I think it was the Department of Defense announced that aliens exist and that we've seen their spacecraft not of this world.
Yeah, right.
How's that not the greatest topic of the world? Why is that not on the news every single day?
Right.
They literally just told us aliens exist.
Right.
Well, if aliens exist, maybe they said, wait a second, your concept of money is slightly fucked up. Let us give you Bitcoin.
Right. Dude, I want to come back. I want to nail this for people on get them where I'm at. That everything you lined out about Bitcoin and being decentralized and the way it was launched, that kind of stuff is exactly right. And the way it can't be seized and the way that no intermediaries, all that things. I agree with you that these other blockchains and the other tokens are trying to recreate that and that it sounds good in theory for the Amazon points to be decentralized and for each of these credit card points things to be decentralized. And I agree that, tokens and gift cards are basically the same thing and just as far as, but one money wins. One decentralized money is going to win. And so any other kind of rewards points or any of this other stuff, it doesn't need a blockchain. That part doesn't need to be decentralized. And an example of that is the Brave web browser. Dude, the BAT tokens are still centralized. They're still centralized and they control the supply of, them. Okay. And so when I get paid out by the Brave browser, I dump them for Bitcoin.
Wasn't BAT tokens launched on the Ethereum blockchain?
Yeah.
So how are they centralized?
Because someone chose the amount and the founders kept some of them.
Well, the supply is centralized, but the actual token itself lives on the Ethereum blockchain is decentralized. You can send me BAT, I can send you BAT. There's nobody that can step in and take my BAT from me.
For sure. But who's to keep them from just making more of them?
Well, that's a whole different story. That doesn't make them centralized. That just means that there's a faucet where you can add more tokens to the field.
Okay, I mean, that's fine then. But then in that same way, then that's still a choke point, I guess. I guess it's a choke point for fairness. It's a choke point for moral hazard.
Yeah, it's not a choke point. It's just a faucet that allows them to print more tokens. Now, based on the smart contract that's associated with that token, that faucet either eventually expires or they can keep minting more tokens. Depends on how they wrote the smart contract. But all those tokens reside on an immutable blockchain that allows people freedom. Whereas when you put things in a centralized database like the Amazon gift cards are right now,
right?
I mean, you're familiar with Paxful, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can buy an Amazon gift card on Paxful one day,
mm-hmm.
but all of a sudden you might find that gift card, which they told you was $100, somebody spent the $100. So totally. It's because it's centralized. It's on Amazon's platform. You don't know. You can't go to a decentralized platform or a decentralized blockchain and say, "Hey, give me the balance of this gift card right now."
Totally, and they could also just turn off the value of that serial number. The same thing as just freezing funds in a bank account or whatever. And I guess I'm saying, doesn't each of these things, even on a blockchain, each of these other tokens still suffer from that same thing? The main issuer can choose the rules. Like Brave, what happens if Brave shuts? What happens if Brave shuts down? Then what's the BAT token worth?
Well, the value of it is maybe worth some fraction less, or almost zero. But the thing is, BAT token still exists out in the wild. Mm-hmm. Brave can shut down the company, mm-hmm. but the token still exists.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tokens like that. Hey, by the way, let me give you a hot take, something that'll come because of 2020.
Yeah.
The National Hockey League is in the midst of this playoffs right now. Teams are literally looking at payrolls going into next season, mm-hmm. 20, 30, $40 million less than what they had this season because their revenues have been absolutely gutted. Mm-hmm. Watch this. You're going to see at least 3 NHL teams in the next 6 months announce that they are setting up a subsidiary fan corp that is going to issue legal security tokens mm-hmm. that allow the fans to trade digital assets, a part of a corporation that generates money and revenue from selling products that ultimately benefits the fans, and the fans get to own a piece of their favorite team's subsidiary corporation.
Totally.
And they're going to raise probably $20 to $40 million per team. And this year, this crisis is the thing that caused them to open this up.
Totally. So that's another one of those things. So kind of with the same category of like California issuing its own digital asset too. I don't doubt that things will happen. I 100% don't doubt that things will happen, and everyone's looking to kind of just make moves and do things. I guess what I'm staying laser focused on is that Bitcoin is the best collateral in the world. Like it's the best collateral and universally accepted collateral in the world. And a lot of these other things have a long way to go.
All right, here's a real good question. You know that 80% of the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin transactions in the world happen in Asia, right?
Okay.
And you can go look on,
I
think it's called, what's that website? What's that website? Do you know what I'm talking about? The one website, it's Fiat Leaks. You're familiar with Fiat Leaks?
No.
So if you go to fiatleaks.com or LEAK, you can literally see every Bitcoin verification and transaction happening in the world in real time or in relative real time. It's actually one of the coolest websites I've seen almost last 8-10 years of Bitcoin. It's one of the coolest ones created.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you'll literally see how much of that activity is happening out of Asia. It's like crazy. China houses a significant number of mining organizations. And mining China is massively creating its own cryptocurrency, the digital yuan.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to share this with you. I think Bitcoin, just like Yahoo was one of the first search engines, may not be the greatest cryptocurrency in the next 5 years
Mhm.
in value.
Mhm.
It'll still be great, but I don't think it'll be the greatest in value.
What do you mean by value?
I think you're going to see China launch its cryptocurrency,
Mhm.
and you're going to see the amazing value its cryptocurrency will have simply because of the amount of export that country does to the whole world. They
Yeah.
will literally force the world to use its cryptocurrency. Now, granted, there's probably going to be a conversion into Bitcoin, which allows other people to convert it into Bitcoin. That'll create great value for Bitcoin.
Mhm.
But Bitcoin will not always be the biggest dog. I know that goes against everything that every Bitcoin maximalist was going to say, but it's my gut instinct.
Well, so I don't even count that as, I mean, that's a digital, it's like a digital fiat currency. It's not really a cryptocurrency.
So I get that, and it'll be a digital fiat decentralized currency, but believe me, the Chinese are developing it, and it is going to compete with Bitcoin on a massive scale.
So I agree that countries are gonna create their own digital version of their own fiat currency, and call it a central bank token, or call it what, I don't really, whatever the naming convention ends up being for them. But I don't understand, how are you saying that one's decentralized?
From all the architecture I've read on it, it's going to have its own decentralized platform. It'll have its own mining system. In fact, a lot of the Chinese miners will flip over and begin mining that also.
Yeah, I mean, so that's going to be a bad move, because then that means the U.S. is going to take over as the hash rate producer of the world. Because
wait a second, what? The U.S.?
Yeah, if all the Chinese miners move off of Bitcoin and move onto their own, yeah, that'll put the U.S. as the largest miner in the world then.
Actually, I think you're forgetting about our friends in Georgia, Bitfury. I think Bitfury will be the biggest. There's not that many mining operations in the U.S. that
it's growing though, and our friend Marty Bent is working with the oil and gas industry to talk about. Have you looked into the stranded gas, stranded natural gas stuff? That's really cool.
In Austin, I thought they pulled the plug on the ones in Austin.
I think a lot of different people are doing it. A lot of different people are looking at it. But
no, I know, but the big mining operation that was supposed to be done in Austin, didn't they pull the plug on that?
I don't know. But as far as a big prediction, if we're really talking about in 5 years, China having its own digital currency, I would say then if they do that and the miners switch over, then by that time the oil and gas industry in the United States will have realized that that they can monetize their stranded natural gas into Bitcoin here in the US then. So I agree.
How does that change value though? That doesn't change value.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it was just an argument that I just don't think that's that great idea from national security for China to give up, all the Bitcoin they could be mining, because so how you're saying that, yeah, they're going to print their own, they're going to try to make their trading partners use it.
Wait a second. Look at it from China's perspective. What do they care about Bitcoin if all of a sudden the digital yuan is worth more than the Bitcoin?
Oh, totally. I think, no, the government in China is absolutely going to love their digital yuan better than Bitcoin. I'm not convinced that.
How about the corporate manufacturers, all those companies making everything?
Totally. I mean, the corporate manufacturers are the government. It's the same thing there. That is the same thing. I don't think the people will inherently understand why Bitcoin's better. The same way here in what you're describing is what the United States already does. We force our trade partners to use dollars, which is why dollars get exported and the middle class in the United States gets hollowed out. That's what's happening. Because we force oil contracts to be settled in dollars even without us. And so the whole world has, dollar denominated debt. We do that. So we're realizing that we like Bitcoin more because we can hold our own wealth instead of having the government mortgage our future. The citizens in China will realize the same thing.
Maybe. You'd be surprised how many people in China are quick to fall in line with the government's direction.
Totally.
I mean, I would say there's anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people in China that are dissident, that are independent thinkers, and then the other 85%, they to fall right in line.
For sure.
And that's a large number of people, by the way.
For sure. And as far as I do agree that Russia and China and other countries are going to work on denominating trade amongst themselves in their own currency and getting off the dollar.
Here's the one thing that I think we're passing up on. All of this talk about Bitcoin, the more you look at it, the less the future of the US dollar has a good future.
Totally.
I think the US dollar is in a lot of trouble in the next very short period of time, 2 to 3 years.
Totally.
Especially with what's happening this year. It almost makes me think that the politicians are quick to realize that. And they're at the point they were like, fuck it. We know the dollar's fucked. Let's just print the fuck out of this one in 2020.
Part of it feels like that to me too. It does. It feels like it's just kind of planned. I'm not sure.
I mean, the numbers that we're seeing in economic policy in 2020 are mind-bogglingly large. Like mind-bogglingly large. $1 billion or $2 billion or $600 billion or $200 billion used to be like big numbers.
Yeah.
Now we're way past billions. We're just talking in trillions.
Totally. Yeah. And that's what feels good. Like that's why it feels good to be able to kind of, I think a lot of, at least I'm experiencing this with my friends, just people, might be optimism, but people are realizing the power of localism. People are realizing the power of, maybe it's from being forced to kind of be at home. Like we're realizing that, hey, like our town actually matters. And I really hope a byproduct of 2020 is we drop our obsession with like federal politics and we really start to just think about our families and our towns and like our communities. And the way the Bitcoin factors into that is we don't need the dollar to be stealing people's wealth anymore. We don't need middlemen to be stealing people's wealth anymore. Like the restaurants that we go to, they should be able to keep their value. When I shop there, they should keep it.
Here's the crazy thing. I actually think we're very close to seeing what I call separatism. And that is, if let's say Trump wins the election, there's going to be some blue states that I actually think experiment or start playing with separating themselves from the United States, seceding. And one of those, I think, is the group of 5, California, Oregon, Nevada, Washington, and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't shock me if in some ways they created their own digital currencies so that they didn't have to depend on federal bailout money. They want to print money, print their own digital currencies.
Yep.
I'm telling you, we're very close to that. I listened to some of the things that Gavin Newsom talked about today, and you can almost hear in the background them setting up their own digital. I can almost hear like the wrenches and the hammers pounding in the background. I'm like, that motherfucker's setting up a blockchain. I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah. And every single time they do it, whether it's Facebook doing it, or whether it's California doing it, or whether it's China doing it, or whether it's, the Brave web browser doing it, we're going to realize each one of those things is going to show how powerful Bitcoin is. Because Bitcoin is the only one that's different.
What do you think about
every
Libra?
single time?
We haven't heard Libra mentioned.
Yeah. I just think I think honestly, it kind of produced some of the best congressional like quotes. I don't know any off the top of my head, but like I just remember that some guys in Congress, like it made the light turn on about what Bitcoin is because they watched like, wait, so Facebook thinks that it's a bank now and they think they're going to print their own money and then their users are going to start sending it around, to their Facebook wallets. Wait a minute. That's our job. We're the government. That's our job. And they're like, oh, holy crap. That's what Bitcoin is. They already beat us to it. And like Bitcoin's like Uber. Uber just launched and it's already out there. It's already out there moving around people.
Here's the crazy thing about those congressional hearings. It actually showed us as a people how uninformed and educated our political leaders are and how old their minds are. Like literally, I watched them ask questions and I was like, did anybody prep these people at all? They're like, oh, well, wait a second. What are you doing?
Right.
And it's like, they're taking the power of money away from you.
Right.
And you're going to realize very quickly, whether it's Facebook or Bitcoin or the Chinese yuan, when you take money away from politicians, it's literally their greatest control mechanism.
Totally.
I mean, you look at when they shut down the government a couple of years ago in January, they literally stopped paying their employees of the government over politics. Mm-hmm. The politicians had control of your paycheck. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin solves that.
Right. Yep. Bitcoin solves that. Strike app solves that. BTC Pay service solves that. If you're a service worker, if you're a marketing consultant, barber, any of that stuff, like the tools truly are there. Like start to transition, a few clients over. Don't do it all at once, but transition a few, like 5. Find your like most down 5% people, and ask them to try like this new thing. It's good. It's good prep to start to do it a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think when you see announcements today, like MicroStrategy, a company taking a significant amount of their fucking capital that's in their piggy bank, $250 million, and saying, hey, we feel better having that money in Bitcoin than we do having that money in dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't like a small statement. I don't know how that didn't become like the biggest news of the day.
Totally.
Like CNBC, Jim Cramer,
right,
talking about this all day.
Right. I tweeted it with the picture that everybody uses on Twitter of like Steve Mnuchin on the phone. I was like, did you see what MicroStrategies did today? No, I agree. I think it's very funny. I was listening to a podcast coverage of it too, and he was just like, it was funny. Like none of the analysts on the phone call even like asked questions about that part of the press conference. They like just asked all the other questions, and so it's so crazy. It's staring people straight in the face.
Shout out to Hetty Wook. Who will maintain the decentralized network? What network? The DAO. So they're talking about DAOs over here.
Nice.
So tell everyone what a DAO is for anybody that doesn't know what a DAO is.
I have no idea. I don't know. So
it's a decentralized, autonomous, I don't even know what the A stands for. Decentralized organization, autonomous. I don't know. Long story short, it was designed to basically run on a series of smart contracts that all were supposed to think on their own. Problem was that somebody figured out how to make the DAO issue more money, and that was when we saw the big fork over Ethereum and ETC, which now ETC recently got hacked for $5 million, which granted is kind of funny because where do you liquidate $5 million in ETC these days? I guess you could probably convert it to Bitcoin. Yeah, exactly. Because Bitcoin is the greatest collateral there is. And that's the thing. If people like Bitcoin is not complicated. Bitcoin's simple. And so don't let all this other noise and kind of like just trick you. Like you don't have to. And it doesn't mean you have to be closed-minded to like anything other like big technology things that are happening. But if you get into Bitcoin, don't let confusion about everything else have you miss the points that like Chris has said today about just like why Bitcoin has value. Like just hang your hat on that and start there in that, because that truly is like the path that everybody takes and a lot of people come back to. All right, so if you could ask Satoshi Nakamoto one question, if he's listening to you right now, other than for his private keys, which we both know would be the greatest answer in the world, what would you ask him today? Today. I would say, I would ask him, I don't know, man. I don't have any. Well, go ahead. What? I think Satoshi was very much more interested in seeing Bitcoin become more anonymous than it is today. Mm-hmm. I think Satoshi actually would be prouder of the development of Monero than Bitcoin today. Mm-hmm. I think Satoshi was very much into anonymity, so much so that the path that Bitcoin took after he left with transparency was great for Bitcoin, but I think he would have created better tools that are able to give people more anonymity and privacy, the tools that you see built into Monero. Mm-hmm. I think that I would ask him that question if I sat him down right now and I'd say, listen, Satoshi, what do you like more, Monero or Bitcoin? I'm 99% sure he'd say, Chris, you know me. I've been hiding under a rock all these years. I love me some fucking Monero. Shout out to Fluffy Pony. Yeah. Dude, I don't think so. I believe he was inspired by God. And so I don't really have anything to ask him because I talk to God every day and I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be talking to you. I'm thankful to be hanging out with the Orange County Bitcoin Network and honestly, and spreading the word of you can use Bitcoin to control your own wealth and not have to rely on politicians. That honestly is really exciting. And so for me, taking money away from politicians is just pure joy. Yeah. Just getting their grubby, legal, legislative, overbearing, grubby paws off the money that controls people's lives. Because earlier, when you talked about somebody having $500 in pay, when you print more money, that $500 only now buys $490 or $480.
Yeah. No, and it just slowly happens to people all the time, and they don't even realize it. And it just sucks. It sucks that we're all tied up in like trading our like finite hours for like this money that like politicians are able to manipulate the supply of. Like, it honestly, it just feels like it feels corrupt. And like, and I'm just thankful that like corruption's being exposed like in the world right now. And so I think that like Bitcoiners talk about like the citadels, and like and in the Bible they talk about just like the kingdom of God. And I'm like, dude, like the kingdom of God is at hand. Like the Bitcoin citadels are at hand. Like I truly believe like a positive future like is available for us like right now. And I truly believe that like people can be free. And so I have a lot of optimism. And so I guess I would just ask Satoshi, like, just what else can I do? How else can I get involved? I guess would honestly just be like, how else can I get involved? Because I love when people ask me that. And so I would want to ask him, what are your tips for getting more involved? Because I think that's literally the only thing.
I think you would say promote Monero.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think Monero, dude, Monero, Ethereum, smart contracts, like all this stuff just gets stuck in the weeds, dude. I just think it gets stuck in the weeds. And I think it's people making it too complicated. And I think it's people trying to be Satoshi. I think it's the same problem that Adam and Eve had when they were trying to be God. I think it's people trying to be Satoshi. And I don't think we need that. I think we need to leverage Bitcoin. We need to leverage Bitcoin to fix the legacy world. And here's why, because there isn't time. There's not time. There's no time to make Monero. There's no time to say Bitcoin isn't perfect. There's no time to go off on Ethereum or smart contract. Like the legacy world is crumbling. It's crumbling right now. There's not time. Like we have to stay focused. And that's honestly where it comes from. It doesn't come from like I don't not like what people are doing or whatever. It's more of just like there's so much work to do and so many people that need help, like that they're about to get, like a flood is coming. They're going to get crushed by the legacy world falling down. And like we have the solution. And so we need to explain the solution to them and get it ready for them in a way that's simple.
So think about this for a second. The postal system is in debt. They're having a hard time delivering the mail, delivering the goods. And at the same time, we're issuing people, not UBI checks, but they're getting, $1,200 a month checks here. Yeah. And they're getting unemployment checks. And even that's fucked up. Here in Nevada, I think it took them 4 months to get people their unemployment checks. Like, are you crazy?
Right.
One of the things that I think America could do with Bitcoin or the blockchain is utilize a more efficient way to get money to the people. It shouldn't be that the state issues your unemployment check. It should be that if you qualify for it, you should get it digitally from some Federal Reserve or some financial reserve. Whenever politicians at the state level get their money on your unemployment check, and then they don't deliver for 4 months, well, the reason they didn't deliver it is because they're fucked up and corrupt and uneducated when it comes to delivering things in a digital fashion.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that Bitcoin needs to become a part of. And even if it's just something like the Strike app, where people say, hey, government, here's my QR code, pay me in Bitcoin. Government can use Strike to convert dollars into Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a gigantic endorsement, gigantic endorsement.
People get paid faster. There's no waste. You don't have to deal with the postal service issuing a stamp and a check, and somebody dropping it at your house, which you don't live at anymore, and now they got to find it. Right. I mean, and how do you do this? Social security numbers. One social security number per person. Are you alive? Boom. That's your number. That's your wallet address. Boom.
Yeah.
By the way, whoever invents the social security number blockchain with wallet addresses, I want some sort of credit for that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that is going to be a thing. You're going to see social security numbers become wallet addresses.
So if that's a thing, I don't think those wallets will support Bitcoin.
Actually, I think they'll support any digital currency, and it's already happening. Shout out to the team over at FIO. Are you familiar with FIO?
I have, yeah. I've actually met one of their guys, yeah.
So if you look at FIO, you could send me money to my social security number, and you could send me Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, US dollars, whatever.
Yeah.
And literally, you can turn somebody's social security number into a wallet address.
The reason why I don't think that the government wallets will support Bitcoin is the same reason why I don't think
Well, that's the thing. The government doesn't need wallets to support Bitcoin. They could just send money to let's say a social security number, and then that social security number can forward it to a wallet address that's associated with that social security number. That's what FIO's doing, is they're creating anything. You could send something to my name, Chris.crypto, and then literally it goes to you can send Bitcoin to that address, it goes to my Bitcoin wallet. You can send Ethereum, it goes to my Ethereum wallet.
Totally.
I'm telling you, that is one of the things that will efficiently improve the government's relationship with money and its people.
Yeah.
I agree. Which, by the way, is totally fucked up.
Yeah. That more so than whatever the technical details of it, it does kind of come back to like a political philosophy thing of just like, what is their purpose, and like why, how are they making the decisions that they're doing, and what are the incentives that, their incentives versus the people's incentives. People need to just remember this: whatever kind of fancy wallet you're using, and whatever new wallets come out in the future, you got to be really careful about understanding the difference between custodial wallets and non-custodial wallets.
Talk about that. Because I think more people need to hear that than you know.
Yeah. So when you're, and it just has to do with whether you're in full possession of the private keys that can move the Bitcoin. That's what you need to be realizing about. Like when your Bitcoin is sitting on Cash App or sitting on Coinbase or sitting at, if Wells Fargo decides to allow you to deposit Bitcoin, or if, the government issues wallets or your Libra wallet at facebook.com or whatever, those are centralized entities. That's like having your Bitcoin at a bank account, which I don't take a super hard line on saying that like that's always 100% bad. It's not always 100% bad.
For some people, custodial is actually good.
Totally. And it has advantages. A lot of I use a custodial Lightning wallet still because they do all the channel management for me. And so it makes the transactions, get there faster.
Which one do you use?
So I use Wallet of Satoshi.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one in forever.
Yeah, and it's just good. And just one screen works great.
Your favorite non-custodial wallet, which one is it?
Favorite non-custodial wallet? So I really love the Casa wallet. Like I love the Casa multi-sig. And the reason why is because you hold one key on your phone, you hold one hardware key at your house, and then Casa has the ability to sign a backup key if you lose one of your hardware keys, or you lose one of your hardware keys or lose one of your phones. And so in my opinion, that's the best protection of just having a company that's there to help you, but then still having full control of both keys in order to, send the funds. And so that's Casa wallet is for sure the best. Yeah.
I think that's the best reason I've heard somebody explain the use of Casa.
Yeah. If you're looking for more of a privacy answer, the number one best privacy Bitcoin wallet is the Samurai wallet, 100% hands down. Runs.
Who's gone off the radar that was kind of in that Casa space is CoinMine. Have you even heard anything about them lately? Yeah, CoinMine were those little desktop boxes that they were trying to sell that would take 400 years to mine one Bitcoin.
Yeah. The best privacy wallet is Samurai wallet, and the best way to do it is to run it on a dedicated Android phone. So I would just buy a second, what I do is I just bought another used Pixel, Pixel 3 Google phone. And you don't sign into any Google services. You just leave it and you just run it off Wi-Fi. You don't have to get a cell phone number on it, and you download Samurai wallet straight from their website. And that one has mobile mixing on it. And so you can have, you talking about how Monero, a lot of the kind of Monero crowd and the Samurai crowd go back and forth a little bit about, Monero's privacy versus.
I've heard great things about Samurai wallet. I think their team built a great product.
Yeah. They're savages. They're savages. They really are. They truly are on the cutting edge of just a digital privacy and digital freedom. They really are just kind of revolutionary freedom fighters. And so it's cool. The world needs it.
So what are some of the things that you're working on so people can either get in touch with you or contact you regarding some of the projects you're passionate about?
Yeah, so I'm building the Bitcoin circular economy, helping build the Bitcoin circular economy here in Orange County, California, here in Southern California. And maybe with the help of this podcast, we can start to build kind of that corridor between Orange County and Vegas too, because we just onboarded the taco shop in Rialto, California, which is Inland Empire. I don't think we're exactly on the 15, so you do have to kind of weave to it on your way to Vegas, but it's still at least in the corridor. And like the Bitcoin circular economy, like I want Bitcoin entrepreneurs that live in relative geography with each other to be able to earn Bitcoin off each other and do business with each other. And so with that, we have the Orange County Bitcoin Network, which is our meetup, and we're meeting every Thursday in August. And you can go to ocbitcoinnetwork.com is the way to get involved with the OC Bitcoin Network. I help shoot a show. Yeah, thank you. And I help shoot a show called Monday Night Bitcoin on this channel called the Bitcoin Is channel. And again, just
isn't that with Russell Okung?
Yeah, so he threw the very first conference. Him and George McHale threw the very first conference in LA last year. And yeah, now it was cool. George like asked me to come on and help produce some videos for them. And so that's where, if you go over to their channel right now, Bitcoin is _ on YouTube, you can watch my circular economy video.
The whole underscore thing messes me up when they do that shit.
Yeah.
I will say Russell Okung has been tweeting some amazing shit, and his voice is getting so strong about, he doesn't care about left politics, right politics. He's really making the emphasis, and he's pointing people in the right direction. Focus on the money. Don't focus on the arguing, the bickering, who's a racist, who's a misogynist. Let's talk about what's important to everybody, which is the money.
Yep, totally. And I'm just trying to, draft behind that and put the just real pieces together for people, because I think people they like first hear about Bitcoin, you think about it just kind of as an investment and just kind of as a stock, and like that's fine. Like start stacking sats like today and start using it as like savings, because you need to have a scarce asset in this environment. And then as you kind of get deeper down into it, you start to realize kind of the revolutionary aspect of it and the ability for entrepreneurs to do business with each other outside the hands of centralized third parties. And so that's kind of, if you're a business, listening in anywhere right now, like my website is or my email is brian@bitcoinis.com, and people can send me an email, and I can give you advice on running BTC Pay server. I can give you advice on how to convince your clients to use the Strike app. That's really where I'm kind of finding my niche right now, is kind of helping people. There's a ton of Bitcoin apps now. There's so many Bitcoin apps that I really have a passion for helping people kind of find the stack that works for what they're trying to achieve in their life.
Yeah, I think you're doing some amazing stuff, because at the end of the day, if there isn't a small niche economy like in the Orange County area, that's how ultimately this will grow. And as more people build these pockets that all connect through Bitcoin, you'll see a global change. And that's when change becomes effective, is when you take the money away from politics.
Yep. And that's the number go up. Like people just deduce it. Orange coin good, number go up, because as the number goes up, that's the best signal on how many people, have kind of joined us and joined the network.
Orange man bad, orange coin good.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's Brian Harrington.
Yep.
I can't thank you enough for your time today. You've been engaging, you've been insightful, and I think you're doing some cool shit.
Yeah. Love it, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out today.
All right. And then everyone that wants to reach you, look below, link, click. Hit him up on Twitter. He's an engaging human being.
Yeah, DMs are open. Brain Harrington on Twitter. DMs are open.
Characters you'll ever use.
Yep.
All right.